Hey warriors, silence scares people more than failure, more than rejection, more than losing everything. The idea of sitting alone with their thoughts sends most people into panic mode. Phone out, TV on, music playing, anything but the quiet. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." The Emperor of Rome, unlimited power, armies at his command. Yet his peace came from within, not from the world around him. Right now, look at anyone waiting in line, sitting at a stoplight, eating alone. Within seconds, the phone appears, the scrolling starts. We've built an entire civilization designed to help us avoid ourselves. Something shifted in our culture. Being alone became a red flag, a sign something's broken. We measure success by how busy our calendars are, how many friends we have, how quickly someone responds to our texts. Connection became currency, solitude became failure. So we run, we fill every gap with noise. We jump from relationship to relationship. We say yes to plans that drain us. We maintain friendships that feel like obligations, all because the alternative, being alone, feels like dying. But here's the shift nobody talks about. Solitude isn't loneliness. Loneliness is desperate. Solitude is deliberate. One drains you, the other builds you. The Stoics understood this distinction. They didn't hide from the world. They prepared for it, in silence, in stillness, in the brutal honesty that only comes when nobody's watching. They knew something we forgot. Self-mastery happens alone. You can't master your emotions in a crowd, can't find your purpose in noise, can't build real strength while leaning on others. The work that matters, the deep transformation, requires you to face yourself without an escape route. Today we're diving into 10 truths about solitude and self-mastery. Not theories, not philosophy for philosophy's sake. Practical tools that separate people who control their lives from people whose lives control them. Some of these truths will sting. Others will shake something loose inside you. A few might make you angry because they'll expose things you've been avoiding. That's the point. Comfort doesn't create change. Discomfort does. This isn't about becoming antisocial. It's about becoming solid. Building a foundation so strong that storms don't knock you over. Creating a life so full that you invite people in. You don't need them to fill the void. Before we start, hit that like button. Anchor yourself with this truth in the comments. I choose solitude as my strength. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe because we're cutting through the noise here. No fluff, just truth. And don't skip ahead. The person you're meant to become isn't hiding in someone else's approval, isn't waiting for the perfect relationship, isn't dependent on external success. That person lives in the solitude you keep running from. Let's begin. Number 1. Solitude shows you who you really are. Masks everywhere, every single day. You wear a different face at work, another with family, a carefully curated version on social media, one for friends, one for dates, layer after layer until the real you suffocate underneath. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." But what's in your power when you don't even know who you are anymore? Solitude strips it all away. No performance, no audience, no one to impress or hide from, just you and the truth. And sometimes that truth hits like a freight train. Maybe you realize the career you're building doesn't excite you. You chose it because it looked successful, because it made sense on paper, because people were impressed. But alone, when nobody's watching, you feel nothing. Or worse, you feel trapped. Maybe you see how much you've been shrinking yourself, making yourself smaller so others feel comfortable, biting your tongue to avoid conflict, dimming your light because someone said it was too bright. You've been playing small for so long, you forgot what taking up space feels like. Maybe you discover the goals you're chasing aren't even yours. They're your parents' dreams, society's expectations, Instagram's highlight reel. You've been running toward a finish line you never wanted to cross. This realization breaks people. They scramble back to distraction, turn on the TV, grab the phone, call someone, anything to shut off the truth. But here's what they don't understand. Avoiding yourself doesn't make you disappear. It just makes you a stranger to yourself. Solitude forces the confrontation, puts a mirror in front of you with zero filter, shows you patterns on repeat, wounds left open, strengths buried deep, dreams collecting dust, everything you've been too busy to notice. The discomfort is real, sharp, sometimes brutal. You'll see how often you compromise your truth. How many times you've said yes when your whole body screamed no. How much energy you've spent being who others needed instead of who you are. But this pain isn't punishment. It's the price of freedom. When you truly know yourself, validation from others loses its power. You stop twisting yourself into shapes to fit in. Stop asking, what will they think? Start asking, what do I think? Stop living someone else's definition of success. Start building your own. The Stoics called it living according to your nature, not the version society programmed, not the person your parents wanted, your actual essence. But you can't live authentically when you don't know who that person is, and you can't discover them in the noise. Solitude is the classroom, the mirror, the moment of truth, where you finally meet the person you've been avoiding, where you stop performing and start being. This moment right here, this is where transformation begins. Not tomorrow, not when things get easier, right now, in the uncomfortable space between who you've been pretending to be and who you actually are. The real you is worth meeting, worth knowing, worth becoming. But you have to be brave enough to sit in the silence and let them emerge, to strip away the layers of performance and see what's underneath, to face the truth without flinching. That's where everything begins. That's the foundation. You can't build a meaningful life on a false identity. You can't create genuine connections when you don't know who's connecting. You can't master yourself when you don't know who yourself is. This is where it starts. Number 2. Solitude builds strength nobody can take from you. Real strength isn't what you think it is. It's not how much weight you lift, not how tough you look, not how loud you can be. Real strength is what happens when everything falls apart and nobody's there to catch you. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." But most people avoid the friction. They surround themselves with comfort, support, and safety nets. Then wonder why they crumble under pressure. When you're always surrounded by people, you outsource your strength. Someone's always there to pump you up when you're down, to validate you when doubt creeps in, to carry you when things get heavy. Feels good in the moment, makes you weak in the long run. Because what happens at 3 in the morning when panic sets in and nobody's there? When the relationship ends and you're alone with the pain? When you lose your job and the fear is suffocating? When life hits you and there's no backup? You fall apart. Because you never built the foundation. Solitude is where you build that foundation. Alone with your thoughts, your fears, your demons. No rescue coming, no one to call. Just you and the decision to either break or become unbreakable. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you grow stronger. Every time you face a fear alone instead of calling for help, you level up. Every time you make a hard decision without needing approval, you become more solid. Think about a muscle. It doesn't grow when you're resting. It grows when you tear it down, stress it, push it past comfortable. Your mind works the same way. Your spirit works the same way. The Stoics called it building an inner citadel, a fortress inside yourself that nothing external can shake. Not rejection, not failure, not loss. not other people's opinions, nothing, because you've built something so solid within that the chaos outside can't reach you. But you can't build that fortress in a crowd. You build it brick by brick, in quiet moments when you choose growth over comfort, when you sit with anxiety instead of numbing it, when you process pain instead of projecting it, when you do the work nobody sees and nobody applauds. People will call you distant, too independent, cold. Let them. They're terrified of their own solitude. They'll try to make you afraid of yours, but you know better now. Every hour you spend strengthening yourself alone is an investment, the kind that pays dividends when life gets hard. And life will get hard. Not maybe, definitely. When that moment comes, you won't beg someone to save you, won't fall apart because your support system disappeared. You'll stand firm, rooted in the power you built when you were brave enough to be alone. That's the difference between someone who survives and someone who thrives, between someone who needs constant support and someone who can stand on their own, between weakness disguised as connection and genuine strength that comes from within. This strength changes how you move through the world. You stop making decisions from fear. Stop staying in situations because you're afraid to be alone. Stop compromising yourself to keep the peace. You become solid, centered, unshakable, and people notice. Not because you're trying to impress them, because authentic strength is magnetic. It draws respect, commands attention, creates opportunities, not through force, but through presence. But it all starts in the solitude you've been avoiding, in the quiet moments when you choose to face yourself instead of running, when you build instead of borrowing, when you become your own source instead of depending on others. That's real power. That's lasting strength. That's what makes you unshakable. When you're ready to claim this power, write it down. My strength comes from within. Number 3. Solitude clears the noise so you hear your truth. Everyone's got an opinion about your life. Your parents have a plan for you. Your friends have expectations. Society's screaming what success should look like. Social media's showing you what happiness supposedly is. 1,000 voices telling you who to be, what to want, how to live. And somewhere in all that noise, your own voice disappeared. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But how do you find your way of thinking when everyone else's thoughts drown it out? You don't. Not until you step away from the noise. Most people live their entire lives following scripts written by others. They chase careers they don't care about because that's what success is supposed to look like. They stay in relationships that drain them because that's what they're supposed to want. They set goals that don't excite them because that's what everyone else is doing. Then they wake up at 40 wondering why they feel empty, why achievement feels hollow, why they're successful on paper but miserable in reality. It's because they never stopped to ask what they actually wanted. Solitude creates that space. When you remove the constant input, the feeds, the advice, the comparisons, the programming, something happens. Your own voice starts coming through. Quiet at first, easy to miss. But it's there, and that voice knows things. It knows what lights you up, what drains you, what you're meant to build, what you need to walk away from. It knows your gifts, your passions, your real purpose. Not the one that looks good in a LinkedIn headline, the one that makes you feel alive. But that voice can't compete with the noise, won't scream over everyone else. You have to create space for it. This is why people who spend intentional time alone seem to have clarity everyone else lacks. They're not smarter, not lucky. They just listen to themselves instead of the crowd. They've tuned into their own frequency. Think about the last big decision you made. How much of it was actually yours? How much got influenced by what people would think? What looked impressive? What made sense to everyone else? Now imagine making that decision after a week alone. No phones, no opinions, just you and your truth. Different decision, right? Because when you're alone with yourself, you can't lie, can't perform, can't pretend. You face what you actually want, not what you think you should want. And that terrifies most people. But for you, it's freedom. The Stoics practiced this relentlessly. They questioned everything, examined every belief, asked themselves constantly, is this mine or did I inherit it? Does this serve who I want to become or who others want me to be? They knew that most people sleepwalk through life, following paths laid out by others, living dreams that aren't theirs, building lives that look good but feel empty. You don't have to be one of them. Your purpose isn't hiding in someone's Instagram feed, not buried in a self-help book, not waiting for some guru to reveal it. It's already inside you, has been this whole time, waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it. Stop asking everyone else what you should do. Stop collecting opinions like their wisdom. Stop looking outside for answers that only exist within. Sit with yourself. Ask the hard questions. Listen to what comes up. Trust that voice. It knows the way. The clarity you're searching for isn't out there. It's in here, in the quiet space between your thoughts, in the silence you've been filling with other people's noise. Your truth is waiting. Get quiet enough to hear it. If this truth resonates with you, make it yours in the comments. I trust my inner voice. Number 4. Solitude shows you the difference between love and need. Let's get uncomfortable for a minute. That person you can't stop texting, that relationship you're clinging to even though it's draining you, that constant need for someone to validate your existence, that's not love, that's fear wearing a mask. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." But you're not free when you need someone else to feel whole. That's not partnership. That's prison. Most people can't tell the difference between connection and codependency. They jump from relationship to relationship, always searching for someone to complete them, always needing constant reassurance, always falling apart when they're alone. They call it love. But love doesn't make you smaller. Neediness does. Hard truth coming. If you can't be happy alone, you can't be happy with someone else either. You'll just make them responsible for your happiness. And when they inevitably can't fill that void, because nobody can, you'll blame them, resent them, suffocate them with your need. Solitude exposes this pattern brutally. It shows you where you end and another person begins, forces you to meet your own emotional needs, to validate yourself, to be your own source of joy and confidence. And when you can do that, when you're genuinely whole on your own, that's when real connection becomes possible. Real connection isn't two broken people desperately clinging to each other. It's two whole people choosing to walk together. No desperation, no manipulation, no "I need you or I'll die" energy. Just two solid individuals sharing strength, not borrowing it. Look at your relationships right now. Honest look. Are you there because you want to be, or because you're terrified of being alone? Are you giving from fullness or taking from emptiness? Are you enhancing each other's lives or just avoiding your own? These questions sting because most of us have been codependent without realizing it. We confused neediness with passion, jealousy with caring, control with love. We built relationships on fear instead of freedom, and those relationships, they crumble. They have to. Fear can't sustain anything real. But when you master solitude, everything shifts. You stop seeking relationships to escape yourself. Start building relationships to share yourself. Stop looking for someone to save you. Start looking for someone to grow with. Stop losing yourself in others. Start bringing your full self to the table. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that attachment to external things, including people, creates suffering. Not because connection is bad, because desperate attachment is. When you need someone, they own you. When you choose someone from wholeness, you're free. So, get comfortable alone. Build a life you love without needing anyone else to make it meaningful. Then, when someone incredible shows up, you invite them into your fullness, not your emptiness. That's the difference between a relationship that drains you and one that elevates you. Between needing someone and choosing them, between fear and love. Think about the healthiest relationship you've ever seen, not the most dramatic, not the most passionate, the healthiest. Chances are both people were solid on their own. They didn't need each other. They chose each other. They enhanced each other's already complete lives instead of filling empty voids. That's what becomes possible when you master solitude. You stop searching for someone to complete you and start looking for someone to complement you. You stop making relationships your source of happiness and start making them an expression of the happiness you've already built. This shift changes everything. The desperation disappears. The neediness fades. The fear of being alone loses its grip. And what emerges is genuine connection, the kind that respects boundaries, that celebrates independence, that enhances both people instead of consuming them. That's what love looks like when it comes from wholeness instead of emptiness, when it comes from strength instead of weakness, when it comes from choice instead of fear. Reflect on this and affirm it below. I am whole, not half. Number 5. Solitude exposes every escape you're using. Sit still for 5 minutes. No phone, no TV, no music, no food, no distractions. Just you and silence. Can't do it, can you? Within seconds, the itch starts. The urge to reach for something, anything. Your hand moves toward the phone before you even realize it. That's not boredom, that's addiction. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." And most of us are everywhere. Scrolling through feeds, jumping between apps, bouncing from one distraction to another. We call it staying connected. But really, we're running. Solitude doesn't let you run, strips away every escape route, puts you face to face with everything you've been avoiding, and it exposes every crutch you've been leaning on. The phone you check 100 times a day, the Netflix you binge to numb out, the relationships you maintain just to avoid being alone, the work you hide behind, the substances you use to take the edge off, the shopping, the scrolling, the constant noise. These don't feel like problems when you're moving fast. Everyone does it, right? Normal behavior. But strip away the noise and sit in genuine solitude. You see them for what they are. Escape mechanisms, ways you've been avoiding the hard stuff. Maybe it's the past you haven't processed, the trauma sitting in your chest, the dreams you gave up on, the person you're disappointed in becoming. Whatever it is, it's there, waiting in the quiet. And every scroll, every binge, every distraction just delays the inevitable confrontation. Here's the thing about addictions, they're not always dramatic. You don't need a substance problem to be addicted. Can't sit alone without grabbing your phone. Addiction. Need constant background noise to feel okay. Escape. Panic when your calendar's empty. Avoidance. These patterns don't serve you. They keep you surface level, prevent real growth, steal your presence, your peace, your power, and you'll never break them if you don't first see them clearly. Solitude is the mirror that shows what you've been hiding from. And yes, it's uncomfortable. You'll see behaviors you're not proud of, patterns you didn't know controlled you, dependencies you didn't realize owned you. But that discomfort, it's the price of freedom. Because once you see it, you can change it. Once you acknowledge what you're running from, you can turn around and face it. Once you recognize your escapes, you can choose differently. Not overnight, not perfectly, but intentionally. The Stoics practiced ruthless self-examination, questioned everything, challenged every comfort, asked hard questions, not to punish themselves, to free themselves, to live deliberately instead of reactively. That's what solitude offers. A chance to stop running, put down the distractions, face yourself fully, and choose freedom over escape. Most people never break these patterns because they never even see them. They're too busy running to notice what they're running from, too distracted to realize they're addicted to distraction, too comfortable being uncomfortable to seek real peace. But you're different. You're here. You're reading this. You're willing to look at the hard stuff. That willingness is rare. Most people will spend their entire lives avoiding this confrontation. They'll stay surface level forever, never go deep, never face themselves, never break free. You don't have to be like them. Solitude gives you the chance to see clearly, to face what you've been avoiding, to break patterns that have been running your life, to choose presence over escape, to build real peace instead of temporary comfort. But it requires courage, the kind that makes you sit still when everything in you wants to move, that makes you face pain instead of numbing it, that makes you choose growth over comfort. That courage is in you. You just have to use it. The question is, are you brave enough to sit still and see what comes up? To face the patterns you've been avoiding? To choose freedom over familiar escape? If you're committed to facing yourself, declare it. I face myself with courage. Number 6. Solitude reveals what you're actually capable of. You've been underestimating yourself your entire life, not because you're weak, because you've always had someone else to lean on, someone to help, someone to save you, someone to do the hard parts. And every time someone else steps in, you rob yourself of discovering your own power. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But you can't realize that power when you're constantly delegating it to others. Solitude forces you to figure things out alone. No one to call when things get hard. No one to fix it for you. No one to blame when it doesn't work. Just you, the problem, and your ability to handle it. And that's when something extraordinary happens. You discover you're more capable than you ever imagined. Think about the last time you solved something completely alone, really alone. No Google, no asking for help, no safety net. Remember that feeling when you finally figured it out? That surge of confidence? That wasn't luck. That was you. Your resourcefulness, your resilience, your ability to adapt and overcome. That's always been there. You just never needed to access it before. Most people go their whole lives never tapping into their full potential because they never have to, always surrounded by people who can do it better, faster, easier. So they stay comfortable, stay dependent, stay small, and they never know what they're truly made of. But when you choose solitude, when you put yourself in situations where you have to rely entirely on yourself, you level up. You learn skills you didn't think you could learn, solve problems you thought were impossible, survive things you thought would break you, and each time you do, you expand what you believe is possible. This isn't about suffering for the sake of it. It's about intentionally creating space where you have to show up fully, where you can't hide behind anyone else's strength, where your growth isn't optional, it's necessary. The Stoics called this voluntary discomfort. They deliberately put themselves in challenging situations to build resilience, not because they enjoyed pain, because they understood that comfort creates weakness and challenge creates strength. When you're always in groups, always asking for help, always taking the easy path, you're not growing, you're maintaining, and maintaining is just slow decline, dressed up as stability. Real growth requires you to stretch beyond comfortable. Try things you might fail at. Stand alone when it would be easier to follow. Face challenges that scare you. And here's the beautiful part. Every time you discover a new capability in yourself, your confidence skyrockets. Not the fake kind that comes from people hyping you up. The real, unshakable kind that comes from knowing what you've overcome. From having proof that you can handle whatever comes. You're stronger than you think, smarter than you believe, more capable than you've given yourself credit for. But you'll never know that until you stop outsourcing your power and start claiming it. Every skill you've learned, every problem you've solved, every challenge you've overcome, that was you, your capability, your strength, not luck, not help, you. And there's so much more inside you waiting to be discovered. Capabilities you haven't tapped into, strengths you haven't needed yet, potential you haven't explored. Solitude is where you find all of it, where you push yourself beyond what you thought possible, where you discover that the limits you believed in were just stories you told yourself. Number 7. Solitude lets you design your life instead of defaulting into one. Question that'll shake you. Are you living your life or just living the life that happened to you? Big difference. Most people never stop long enough to figure out which one they're doing. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be and then do what you have to do." Simple, powerful, but impossible if you never take time to answer that first part. Who would you be if nobody was watching? If you weren't trying to impress anyone? If you weren't following someone else's blueprint? Most people default through life. Take the job that was offered. Stay in the city they grew up in. Date whoever shows interest. Follow the path of least resistance. Then one day they wake up at 50, look around, and realize they're living someone else's dream. Or worse, nobody's dream at all. That's what happens when you never step back and actually design your life. When you never get quiet enough to ask, what do I actually want? Not what my parents want. Not what looks impressive. Not what everyone else is chasing. What do I want? Solitude gives you that space. Away from the noise, the expectations, the comparisons, you can finally think clearly. Map out what matters to you, what lights you up, what you're willing to sacrifice for, what success actually means to you, not what social media says it should mean. This is where you get brutally honest. Maybe you realize you don't want the corporate ladder everyone's climbing. Maybe you see that the relationship you're in is about comfort, not passion. Maybe you discover the life you're building looks impressive but feels empty. And maybe you finally give yourself permission to want something different. The Stoics were obsessed with intentional living. They didn't let life happen to them. They examined every choice, every commitment, every path. Asked themselves constantly, is this aligned with who I want to be? Is this moving me toward my vision or away from it? But you can't ask those questions in chaos. Can't design your life while reacting to everyone else's demands. You need space, time, silence. The kind of deep thinking that only happens when you're alone with a journal, a blank page, and the courage to be honest. What would your life look like if you designed it from scratch? If you ignored all the shoulds and focused only on what actually matters to you? If you built it around your values, your passions, your definition of success? That life is possible. But it requires you to stop defaulting and start deciding. Stop following and start leading yourself first. Get quiet enough to hear what you really want, brave enough to go after it. Most people never do this. They let life happen to them, react instead of create, follow instead of lead. And they wake up decades later wondering where their life went, wondering why they feel unfulfilled despite doing everything right. Don't be like them. Take time in solitude to design your life intentionally. Write down what you actually want, not what sounds good, not what looks impressive, what you want. Then build toward that. Make decisions based on your vision, not other people's expectations. This doesn't mean you ignore practical realities. It means you make conscious choices instead of unconscious defaults. You choose your direction instead of letting circumstances choose for you. Your life is the most important project you'll ever work on. It deserves intentional design, careful planning, thoughtful execution, not default settings and autopilot reactions. Solitude gives you the space to become the architect of your life, to draw the blueprints, to choose the materials, to build something that's genuinely yours. The question is, will you take that time? Will you step away from the noise long enough to design something meaningful? Or will you keep defaulting through life, hoping it turns out okay? Your life, your choice, your design. Take ownership of your life with this affirmation: I design my life with intention. Number 8, solitude shows you who deserves a place in your life. Want to know who really matters? Spend time alone. When you step away from constant interaction, something powerful happens. You start seeing your relationships clearly. No more pretending, no more obligation, just truth. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Sounds simple, but most of us do the opposite. We keep people around out of habit, history, or fear of being alone. Maintain relationships that drain us because ending them feels harder than enduring them. Say yes to people we don't even like because saying no feels uncomfortable. Solitude changes that. When you're comfortable being alone, you stop tolerating relationships that don't serve you. Stop giving energy to people who don't reciprocate. Stop showing up for people who wouldn't show up for you because you're no longer afraid of the alternative. Look at your friend group right now. Honest look. How many of those people genuinely add value to your life? How many inspire you, challenge you, support your growth? And how many just exist there, taking up space, energy, and time without giving anything real back? Here's what most people won't tell you. Some relationships are meant to end, not because anyone did anything wrong, just because you've outgrown them. You're evolving, they're staying the same. You're moving forward, they're comfortable where they are, and that's okay. But staying in those relationships out of guilt or nostalgia, that's not loyalty, that's self-sabotage. Solitude gives you the clarity to see this. When you're not constantly surrounded by people, you notice who you actually miss, who adds value, who energizes you versus who depletes you. You start realizing that some people you thought were friends are really just familiar, and familiar isn't the same as meaningful. The Stoics were selective about their company. They understood that the people around you shape who you become. Their energy becomes your energy. Their standards become your standards. Their mindset influences your mindset, so they chose carefully. And they weren't afraid to walk alone when necessary. This doesn't mean you become cold or cut people off harshly. It means you become intentional. Invest your time and energy where it actually matters. Stop trying to maintain every connection. Start nurturing the ones that genuinely enrich your life. And here's the beautiful part. When you raise your standards for relationships, something shifts. You start attracting better people. Because you're no longer desperate for connection, you're selective about it. And that selectiveness, that's magnetic. Quality people respect it. They're drawn to it. You also show up differently. When you're not spread thin trying to please everyone, you can be fully present for the people who truly matter. Give more because you're giving to fewer. And those relationships deepen in ways surface-level connections never could. Stop holding on to people who don't hold on to you. Stop forcing connections that feel like work. Stop being everyone's friend. Start being selective about who gets access to your energy, your time, your life. Quality over quantity, always. This isn't about becoming a hermit or cutting everyone off. It's about being intentional, about recognizing that your time and energy are finite, about investing them where they create real value. The people who truly belong in your life will prove it, not through words, but through consistent action, through reciprocal effort, through genuine care that shows up when it matters. And the ones who don't, let them go, not with anger, not with drama, just with the quiet understanding that not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Number 9. Solitude prepares you for life's inevitable storms. Life will break you, not might, will. Loss will find you. Failure will knock you down. People will leave. Plans will fall apart. And when that moment comes, not if, but when, the only thing that'll save you is the foundation you built in solitude. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. But you can't turn obstacles into opportunities if you crumble the moment things get hard. You need to be built different, and that building happens alone." Think about the strongest people you know, the ones who've survived real pain and came out solid. They weren't born that way. They were forged that way, through nights alone with their grief, through moments where no one could save them and they had to save themselves, through the kind of darkness that either destroys you or transforms you. Here's the reality nobody talks about. At some point, everyone faces something they have to go through alone. A loss so personal no one else can feel it. A fear so deep no one else can fight it. A decision so heavy no one else can make it. And in that moment, all the people who were there for you, they can't help. Not really. It's just you and the storm. Solitude prepares you for those moments. Every hour you spend building yourself up, working through your pain, facing your fears alone, that's armor, that's strength. That's the difference between someone who survives the storm and someone who gets swept away. The Stoics practiced negative visualization. They imagined worst-case scenarios, not to be pessimistic, to be prepared. They asked themselves, what if I lost everything? What if I had to start over? What if the people I depend on disappeared? Then they built the inner resources to handle it. That's not dark, that's smart. Because life doesn't ask if you're ready before it hits you. It just hits. And the people who make it through aren't the lucky ones. They're the prepared ones. The ones who did the work in private, who built themselves up when no one was watching, who learned to hold themselves together before they had to. When you master solitude, you develop something unshakable. The knowledge that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. Not because nothing bad will happen, but because you've proven to yourself that you can handle it. You've sat with pain before, faced fear before, been alone before, and you survived. More than survived. You grew. That confidence changes everything. You stop making decisions from fear. Stop clinging to people and situations because you're terrified of losing them. You engage with life fully, knowing that even if it all falls apart, you have yourself. And that's enough. Build that foundation now, in the quiet, in the stillness, before the storm comes. Because when it does, you'll be grateful you did. Think about the last time something went wrong. Really wrong. How did you handle it? Did you fall apart? Did you immediately reach out for someone to fix it? Or did you find strength within yourself you didn't know existed? The truth is, most people discover their real strength only when they have no other choice. When the storm hits and there's nowhere to run. But by then, it's too late to prepare. You either have the foundation or you don't. Solitude lets you build that foundation intentionally, before you need it, Before life forces you to find strength you're not sure you have. You practice sitting with discomfort, facing fear, processing pain, handling challenges alone. So when the real storm comes, you're not scrambling, you're steady. This isn't about becoming emotionless or isolated. It's about building resilience, creating internal resources that no external circumstance can take away. Developing the kind of strength that doesn't depend on everything going right. Because things won't always go right. People will disappoint you, plans will fail, loss will come. And in those moments, all the external props fall away. The only thing left is what you've built within yourself. Make sure that foundation is solid. Make sure when everything else crumbles, you still stand. Make sure the storms of life find you prepared, not panicked. That preparation happens in solitude, in the hours you spend alone, building yourself up, facing your fears, processing your pain, strengthening your mind, fortifying your spirit. As you build your resilience, ground yourself with this: I am my own foundation. Number 10. Solitude transforms you into your highest self. Here's the ultimate truth. The person you're capable of becoming only emerges in solitude. Not the version of you that performs for others, not the one that fits in, the real one, the powerful one, the one you've been avoiding because becoming them requires letting go of who you've been. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the sacred space between you and your potential. In the hours you spend alone, doing the work nobody sees. Building the person everyone will eventually meet. Every great transformation requires a chrysalis phase. A period of isolation where you break down everything you were to become what you're meant to be. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly at a party. It happens alone, in the dark, through a process that looks like destruction, but is actually creation. That's what solitude offers you, the space to completely reconstruct yourself, to examine every belief you've been carrying and ask, is this mine or did I inherit it? To look at every habit and decide, does this serve my highest self or my lowest? To face every fear and choose, will I let this control me, or will I transcend it? The Stoics understood this. They knew that becoming your best self requires ruthless self-examination and intentional self-creation. You can't do that with an audience, can't evolve while maintaining an image, can't transform while performing. Think about who you want to be 5 years from now, not the surface stuff, the car, the house, the status, but who you want to be as a person, what kind of character, what kind of strength, what kind of wisdom. Now ask yourself honestly, will that person emerge from the life you're living right now, surrounded by the same people, doing the same things, avoiding the same discomfort? Nah. That version of you is waiting in the solitude you keep avoiding. They're built from the hard conversations you have with yourself alone, the disciplines you practice when no one's watching, the growth you choose when it would be easier to stay the same. This is your invitation, not to become a hermit, not to abandon everyone, but to prioritize the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. To spend intentional time alone, building yourself into someone you're proud to be. Someone who doesn't need external validation because they've validated themselves. Someone who doesn't crumble under pressure because they've built themselves to withstand it. Your highest self is calling, not from out there, from within. And the only way to answer that call is to get quiet enough to hear it, brave enough to follow it, disciplined enough to become it. Everything you've ever wanted to be is on the other side of the solitude you're afraid of. Stop running, start building. The world needs the version of you that only emerges when you're alone. Think about the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. That gap doesn't close through more connection, more distraction, more external validation. It closes through intentional work in solitude, through the daily practice of becoming, through the discipline of self-creation. Most people never close that gap. They die with their potential still inside them. Not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked the courage to spend time alone transforming themselves. They stayed comfortable, stayed distracted, stayed surrounded, and stayed the same. You don't have to be like them. You have the power to become your highest self, to transform into the person you're meant to be, to close the gap between current and potential. But it requires solitude. Intentional, uncomfortable, transformative solitude. The caterpillar must enter the chrysalis to become the butterfly. You must enter solitude to become your highest self. There's no shortcut, no way around it, only through it. The question is, are you ready? So here we are. 10 truths about solitude and self-mastery. 10 invitations to stop running and start building. 10 reminders that the person you're looking for has been waiting in the quiet this whole time. This isn't theory. This is your life. Right now, you have a choice. You can keep filling every moment with noise, distraction, and other people. Keep avoiding yourself, pretending everything's fine, staying surface level forever. Or you can do something different. You can choose solitude, not as punishment, but as power. Not as isolation, but as transformation. Give yourself the gift of time alone. Real time, uncomfortable time, growth time. Time to strip away the masks, build genuine strength, hear your purpose, understand your relationships, face your addictions, discover your capabilities, design your life, choose quality connections, prepare for storms, and become your highest self. The Stoics didn't practice solitude because they hated people. They practiced it because they understood that mastering yourself is the prerequisite to everything else, to meaningful relationships, to genuine success, to lasting peace, to a life that's truly yours. This journey starts with a single decision: to stop being afraid of being alone, to see solitude not as something to escape, but as something to embrace, to understand that the time you spend with yourself isn't wasted. It's the most valuable investment you'll ever make. So, take that first step. Turn off your phone for an hour. Sit with yourself without distraction. Face what comes up. Build from there. One day at a time, one moment at a time, until you're no longer afraid, until you're no longer running, until you've mastered the most important person you'll ever know. The transformation you're seeking doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the quiet, in the space between who you've been and who you're becoming, in the solitude you've been avoiding. Your highest self is waiting, not someday, not when things get easier, right now, in the silence. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me which truth hit you hardest. Share this with someone who needs it. Subscribe because we're just getting started here. This is only the beginning of your transformation. Your journey to self-mastery starts now, in the solitude, in the quiet, in the space where you finally meet yourself. Seal your commitment to this path with these words: I master myself in solitude.